Okay, and outstanding. Here we are. We're in the Zoom studios. We got a full house today in the cloud. Jesse in the New Mexico Main Street, Robyne down there in Clovis, New Mexico, and Daniel in Albuquerque. I should mention Jesse's in Santa Fe. So we have the state pretty much represented. The only thing we're missing is Las Vegas or Raton, I suppose. And then we have the Four Corners taken care of for the most part. I guess Albuquerque and Santa Fe are pretty close, more in the middle. But how's everybody doing today?
Good.
Well,
Doing great.
Outstanding. Well, we're going to talk about Route 66, some of the Centennial things happening, and I did want to start off with the Passport program. Are you guys doing the Passport program? Is that right or no?
we are.
Yes, we have
Excellent.
our own passport program. That it's a rat card.
That's what I thought, and so I wanted to highlight that a little bit as well as some events that are coming up. So I'll just ask some questions, and whoever feels the appropriate one to take the lead on that, feel free to do so. And if you need further clarification, just feel free to ask. So let's start off with the Passport program, and then we'll talk about some of the events that are taking place. So just the history of the Passport program and what people can expect from it, if you wouldn't mind.
Let Robin answer that one.
I think, is that mine? Absolutely. Well, I just love to throw some history in there. And we talked about doing this last year, and we've been meeting with all of our districts that are on Route 66 that are part of the Main Street program. And those are Main Street and Arts and Cultural districts. And so we've been meeting with them to talk about how to support them as they celebrate the Route 66 Centennial. And our goal is to encourage travelers that are exploring Route 66 to visit not only those communities, but specifically these districts, because not all of them are directly on Route 66. But our goal is to drive foot traffic and to support those local businesses and to highlight the unique history and culture and charm of each of these districts. You know, they're all very different, from Tucumcari to Gallup and everywhere in between. They all have really different vibes. And so we're hopefully inviting people to slow down and spend some time in these districts. And our bait, I guess you would call it, are these rat cards that are beautifully designed. And we each have a unique sticker for each of the district that represents the unique culture that is there, as well as ties into their logos often as well. And so the visitors can check out 3 different businesses in each of the districts that have those cards as well as those stickers. And that is all, those can be connected to 2 different ways. One is through our website, which has a Route 66 Centennial page. And I'm all of a sudden I should have written it down, Jessica. I think the URL for that is
It's
NM MainStreet.org
That's right.
/ Route 66. Woohoo!
We'll make sure
then
we have a
another
link
way,
on the recap as well. We'll put a link in there. And when you say
absolutely.
districts, could you explain that a little bit more? And I'll give you a little bit of context. So what the way that we're kind of tackling our Route 66 adventure this summer is we want to spend one day in every county. And for the same reasons you just said, districts, is that to spend a little bit of time, absorb and take in as much of Route 66 on that county as possible. And when you say districts, how does that differ from the counties, I guess?
Daniel, do you want to speak to that or?
Sure. So yeah, sure. So part of our New Mexico Main Street program is, we're part of a national program through Main Street America. And what we focus on, our program focuses on downtown revitalization. So every community that is along Route 66, at least the ones we have, they have a downtown district that we really focus on revitalization in. But a lot of those districts have Route 66 running right through them or adjacent to their downtown. So a lot of the businesses we support, small entrepreneurials, events, they all take place within those Main Street districts.
I see. Just a little vernacular, I guess. Main Street, the whole Route 66 is Main Street, from my understanding, which is kind of exciting.
Yeah.
But I'm actually looking very forward to New Mexico for a variety of reasons. One is there's a Sizzler in Gallup, New Mexico, and I haven't been to a Sizzler since the 1980s, last century. So I'm looking forward to stopping there either on the way through or the way back. But also, the first town technically is a ghost town, is an abandoned town, and I was doing some research on it, and a family had purchased a couple of the buildings there and has started revitalizing it a little bit to coincide with the Centennial. So I'm very excited about that. Talk to me a little bit about the different districts, the different main streets, the different cities that you go through from this. I forgot the name of the ghost town because when I looked it up, it's technically in Texas and technically in New Mexico. And so I kind of gave up on it. And so, but I do know Gallup is pretty much the last stop on the west side. But what are some of the districts, downtowns, and cities that people can expect?
If you're coming from the Texas side, going west, the first Main Street district would be Tucumcari. They have a really, really long, actually, stretch of Route 66 running through their community, and just north of the road is where the Tucumcari district is. From there, if you keep going, you'd run through, if you're going through just the Highway 40 kind of corridor, you'd run into Santa Rosa. But then you could also go up north and hit Las Vegas and Santa Fe and then come back down to Albuquerque, which would be the next one. And if you really want a good steak to go, there's a Monte Carlo in Albuquerque on Route 66 that would be way, way better than Sizzler. But
did you say a steak?
a steak, yes.
I love
in
me a good
Albuquerque,
steak. Yeah. The
Monte
Sizzler,
Carlo,
the Sizzler's more of a nostalgic thing. That's pretty
Gotcha.
much what that is. That's like,
Gotcha.
yeah, and who knows if I'll even make it
Yeah.
there. But that was
And-
sort of the Monte
Sure,
Carlo's the
and-
name of the place.
It is.
Okay.
And so, but we have a number of districts in Albuquerque that have Route 66 running through it. First would be South revitalized San Pedro, South San Pedro Avenue. We have Nob Hill downtown, Barelas that kind of starts running through the older iteration, South Valley, and from there, as you go down, and actually Old Town's one of our communities that we're working with as well that runs through Route 66, and then you'd hit Grants and then Gallup in terms of Main Street communities.
Pretty
And-
excited about this. I've haven't been to Grant, haven't been to Gallup. Spent some time down in the what is it, the southeast corner in Carlsbad area and Hobbs and that sort of thing. I have a energy brand that obviously because of West Texas and eastern New Mexico, there's a lot of energy that comes out of there. What are some of the iconic locations that people should be paying attention to?
Oh, wow.
Yeah, you can just
Well,
name drop away.
yeah.
You know what I mean?
I think the Railroad Museum in Tucumcari would be a must-see.
Yes.
The
Yes.
Railroad Museum?
Mhm.
hmm
Okay.
It's
okay.
also the Main Street office, and they've revitalized that whole property is a huge project.
Interesting.
Yeah,
It's
Santa
gorgeous.
Rosa has the is the car museum still open?
Mhm.
Yeah, that's a big one along in Santa Rosa. I mean, there's such cool things. I mean, the Blue Hole in Santa Rosa is amazing. They're downtown.
I
It's
did
charming.
see
That
where
Illfield-
in Santa Rosa they're looking at putting some a bike path or a bike museum or a bike obstacle course. I didn't retain 100% of it. A lot of it, I just get the bullet points and then I'll do more documentation when I drive through, I guess. But yeah, there's definitely some bicycle, not motorbike, but bicycle emphasis as well this year. With the Route 66. So Tucumcari is another one I wanted to ask you about because everybody who's driven this in the past that I've talked to, they've mentioned that I need to take some extra time in Tucumcari for whatever reason. I don't know if there's extra iconic spots there? If there's a neat hotel or some
A
restaurants or what's
number of
going on there?
hotels, number of
The
Route
hotels?
66 hotels. Yeah. Um, there's some like iconic signs and
Mhm.
restaurants as well that are old Route 66 diners that have been around for a while. Um, do you have
Dells.
any? Yeah.
Yeah, and then motel wise, of course, Blue Swallow gets featured all the time, but across the street from it is Hotel Safari. It has an amazing sign, and there's lots of neon along Route 66 as you go through there. TP Curios, the Powwow, I think it's a bar and a restaurant. It's been a while
Okay.
since I've been there. Dell's is a great place to eat. Their food is amazing,
Are a
and they
lot of
have
the
liver and onions.
oh, they do. Boy,
Who
that's
has
old
liver
school.
and onions?
Well,
Dell's.
up in my neck of the woods, it's a Friday night special that during non-Lenten season, you know, because during Lent everybody serves fish up here, and then during the off time it's liver and onions for our elderly crowd, I guess, up here in the great Midwest. I
Can I
did want to
just
ask you
say,
about. Oh, go
in the
ahead.
chat, I put a link to our maps. So you can see the map of all 32, where all 32 Main Street districts are, and the Route 66 map. There's 32 Main Street districts in the state, 10 are on Route 66. And then on our Route 66 page, we have community highlights. So each district has like all these things that Daniel and Robin are referring to listed. So people could
Okay,
find that information there.
fantastic, and we'll make sure we have the links as well in the recap. One of the attractions that I had to this Route 66 was there. So much of the current culture has come from Route 66. Gas stations basically came from Route 66. There were several on the East Coast, but as far as main gas stations that were available to the consumer, speed limits came from this. Hotels and motels and the engineering behind it, and then of course the interstate came in, and that changed what happened to a lot of these towns that really benefited from the highway system. I'm on Highway 59, so we see it all the time. And where I grew up in Fargo, we had Highway 75, where every 20 miles is a town trying to hang on, type of a thing. This has got to be really exciting for these towns because I've read AAA studies that say 40% of adults are going to be taking a segment of Route 66 this year. And I've driven a little bit of it in the past, but never intentionally, never intentionally. And so for me, this is supposed to be my year of Jubilee, where I'm supposed to just kind of take a little bit of a break and reset myself, if you will. So it's my Route 66 reset that I'm looking at this. And that's one of the reasons why I'm driving the whole thing, is to really take in a lot of this Americana, a lot of this culture, a lot of these things that were created, but also to support these small communities. I'm a sucker for someone selling pottery on the side of the road. I'm somebody selling pistachios on the side of the road. I'll stop all day long and buy from them. How are the towns embracing this? How are you guys embracing this with the businesses?
Well, I'd say, I mean, it's an exciting thing, I think, for the state as a whole, New Mexico as a whole, and the governor Michelle Lujan Grisham even created a Route 66 Centennial Working Group that's comprised of a lot of state agency heads to provide resources for our local communities to enhance them, because we want folks that are coming through to have a good experience, right? So there was a lot of money put towards some infrastructure improvements in these Route 66 communities, and this is beyond just the Main Street, but just all communities, but all of New Mexico communities. The tourism department is doing a lot of mass marketing, international marketing to highlight the things that we have. And I think even New Mexico Magazine has a Route 66 app that we're actually partnering with them on that highlights not just the Main Street communities, but Route 66 as a whole in New Mexico and different places to stop. So I think as a state and local communities, we're really, really taking it seriously. And I think we want to capitalize on all the traffic that's going to be coming through. And the goal is to is to not just have people drive through. We want them to, as you said, get out of their cars and, like you want to experience some of these communities. That's what you want them to experience, the communities, because they're all different. And actually, I've done Route 66 completely on a motorcycle with a couple of friends, and it is really a great experience. And as you go through each state, you get a different feel of how how those communities were developed, even though they were all along that same roadway, right? But a lot of stuff going on. Robyne has actually been working with all our local Main Street communities that are along the route to plan, to come up with different support to some local businesses. And maybe, Robyne, you could talk a little bit about some of those efforts that have been going on.
Absolutely. I just think, like you said it really, really well, but the emphasis is that each of our Main Street districts is made up of small businesses. And that's, what we are part of the economic development department. And that's what we want to drive is growing and strengthening the economy in these districts. And so even a small increase in foot traffic and sales in these small businesses impact not just the businesses and those small business owners, but the district and the community overall. So, it's people taking time to stop in these small communities makes a big difference to people just like you and me that own small businesses.
Do want to mention kudos to the working arrangement you have with the New Mexico magazine, as well as having a print passport. As a former magazine publisher and the editor of the Fargo magazine for years and years and years, we were very familiar with the different city and state magazines because, obviously we weren't in competition with each other, so we try to steal as many ideas as we can for our own community that sounded good because, like I say, we weren't in competition with each other. So kudos for keeping a little bit of the print industry alive here. That's another community that needs some help every now and then is the print industry. Let's talk a little bit about some events that are going on. How soon are you starting events? Because the actual 100-year anniversary is November 11th. And by then, everybody's going to be Route 66 out by then, it seems like, And so that's actually consciously why we're doing a second drop, if you will, of content on November 11th. So like our plan is to drive it from May, June, and July. It's about 75, 80 days we're going to take to do it. Right. And from there, after, the live documentation and the social media hoopla and all that different stuff, November 11th, we're planning on dropping then produced content, ones that, we edit and put a little bit of extra into it to carry it over through. Because I think a lot of people are going to be, once November comes around, it's the holiday season, Christmas, New Year's, if you will. The weather's going to be turning at that point. And so I'm glad to see that, you're capitalizing on the summer part. But how soon are the events starting? I think April 30th is when the official kickoff is, according to Springfield, Missouri, that just kind of stood up and said, yeah, this is the birthplace. This is where it is. And so good for them for, doing that. But my understanding is April 30th is kind of the official, unofficial kickoff. When are you guys starting events, or have you already?
They're ongoing now. I'll just add that each one of the districts, as we call them, are, standalone. Mostly, I think they're all 501c3s or standalone organizations that have their own volunteer leadership and usually a paid staff member in each of these districts. And so they're all working on events and promotions and celebrating all year long. And so a lot of them have existing events that they're just tying in a Route 66 element to, and some are doing really distinct Route 66 events. So the best thing to do is to check out our webpage and our calendar and connect to those districts themselves. Jesse does a great job upkeeping the community highlights and different things on a bigger picture, but to dig deep into each community, we recommend getting into each of those communities, not only personally, but visiting their websites and their social media. Because stuff is going on now and it'll go on through the rest of the year.
I'm looking at some events right now, the monthly art walk and the growers market. Looks like that starts in April as far as the growers market. And
Mhm.
is that what you're talking about? Just kind of some of those events that are happening, but since they're happening on the route or close to the route, we're just going to do kind of a tie-in. Is that correct?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yes, and
And
those like
go
are
ahead.
actually in they actually are in on along the route. They are on the route, as
Mhm.
folks start coming through. But we actually kicked off our first. We had a state conference in Albuquerque on along the Route 66 2 weeks ago. So we had the whole network from New Mexico, all the local Main Street leaders were here, and we kicked it off at Arrive Hotel with a celebration along Route 66 in downtown Albuquerque.
How was that received?
It was great. We had a great time. And actually, we're going to
Yeah.
have our final, like what in the fall, we're going to have our final one. I hope probably either in Gallup or Grants is kind of the plan because we want to kind of finish the year on Route 66 as well.
What are the conversations like for something like this? It's been interesting for me because, my introduction to the Route 66 was through the energy brand. Actually was we were commissioned basically to write a book, um, 66 things about Route 66 turning 100, and that's when I learned all these different unique cultural things that I had absolutely no idea about, including Phillips 66. I had no idea that Phillips 66 got its name from safety testing on Route 66, driving 66 miles an hour. I had no idea about that. And so to me, that stuff is absolutely fascinating. The engineering behind the hotels and the motels. Previously, cities used to, have motels in downtown because holiday, you'd stay for a week, you'd stay for 2 weeks, whatever it might be. Well, then it turned around to, no, we just want people to literally drive up to the door. We don't even want you to come in to a place. Just drive up to the door. I mean, that was really cool to me, learning all these different aspects of it. And the person I was talking to today, they were saying that Route 66 is freedom to them because they can just get in the open road and drive, and of course that speaks to me. I'm a road tripper. And so I love the open road. But what are the conversations like when you get people together in these groups? Is it like a spitball session or is it groupthink or what's it like?
It actually it's exciting. Part of our Route 66 Centennial Working Group, as a state, we had community meetings just because we were trying to, as a working group, we were trying to get feedback from every community along the route in terms of what we should be doing as a state to where we should be putting funding in, what kind of events should we be highlighting, all these things, and the stories we were getting. And I think we had meetings in Tucumcari, Albuquerque, Santa Fe, um, Grants, and I think the kind of was one more in actually at the Indian Pueblo Cultural Center as well. And just the feedback we got in terms of the stories, there were so many people just wanted to tell stories about, growing up on, in within the Route 66 corridor, businesses that they frequented, a lot of the history, of the communities as they developed along those corridors, and a lot of what you said in terms of the creation of Highway 40 that diverted the traffic away, and how this was just a great opportunity to start capturing some of that traffic, but to start, not stop. Like, we don't want the traffic to end at the end of at the end of the year, right? At the end of 2026, we want to continue building off of, I think, the work, the infrastructure, the events that were developed to keep people coming through, right? Because we think it's a good opportunity to showcase our communities, but we don't want to stop. We don't want to stop after that, right? It's kind of just the beginning.
Yeah, that's one of the reasons why we're waiting till November to start dropping some of the produced stuff to carry it into through March of next year to try to get some
Okay.
people planning on doing the 101-year anniversary instead of the
Mhm.
100-year anniversary, if you will. Um, I do want to ask you about the alternate Route 66 route where it goes up through Santa Fe and up through Las Vegas. Now that's a road less traveled, I guess, for the Route 66ers because it's I guess I'm not really quite sure on what's happening with that. If it was an original road or if it's a Route 66 circle or be more of a box, I guess. We're going to take the Santa Fe way on the way back, and mostly because Santa Fe has the best dog park I've ever been to in my life, and it rivals national parks, actual national state parks. I don't know if either one of you two have ever been to the dog park before. I was talking to Jessie earlier about it, and she had not been there. And so I travel with a dog, and so dog parks are big hotels with pets, pet friendly diners that are pet friendly. That's a big part of our journey. And so a lot of what we're going to be documenting is the canine friendly spots as well. But Santa Fe has and I'm not exaggerating, has the best dog park I've ever been to by a mile. It's like a 300-acre park. And it's like,
that's something I didn't know.
That's what people say to me all the time.
I'm a cat guy myself, but I didn't know that there was
it's actually built on a
spot.
landfill. It's a former landfill that they built on top of. Yeah. And so every now and then, you're out and about and there'll be like a glass bottle or something that's just sticking out and everything else. But it's dry riverbeds, and there's, are there juniper bushes, or what kind of bushes are they? We call them pine trees up in the Black Hills, but they're not quite pine trees, but absolutely fantastic. Taos, of course, absolutely gorgeous, driving next to the river. And then you end up near Las Vegas, New Mexico, not Las Vegas, Nevada. What do either any of you know the story behind that Route 66 route or that trail at all up there? That loop at all? Is it just old and they don't use it anymore? Or? Oh, it's that easy.
Yeah. Yeah. I go ahead, Robin.
I was just saying it was one of the older routes that was used. We still drive it all the time because it's a major road up there. But yeah, it's not as well recognized, but it was a historic part of the road before they made the main road.
I'm really looking forward to it. Like I say, I drive that way anyway instead of coming around through. I go up because when I travel, I come through Colorado and Trinidad. And then from Trinidad to Raton, and then I go up through Taos and Espanola, I believe, is where I stayed last time on the way down. Yeah, something like that. Yeah. And so it's interesting up there in that neck of the woods. Great river. What river is that? Is that the Rio Grande up there? Or what river is that up there? I guess I'm not even sure, but it's excellent places to pull off and stop and walk along the river and absolutely just enjoy yourself up there. Jesse, is there anything going on up in Santa Fe at all this year for Route 66 or no?
I just wanted to shout out Santa Fe Foundation. Have you heard of Willie Lambert's Route 66 guides? No. I posted just now a link to a news article, but the Santa Fe Foundation has been documenting Willie Lambert's Route 66 guides because he's been documenting it since the 70s, and now you can download digital copies of his guides. So I just want to plug that for sure because it's just a really great historical resource of the old route.
Okay, yeah, I'll definitely check that out. Looking at a couple events here on the calendar. Santa Rosa has a Memorial Weekend water park opener. Tucumcari has a Down at the Depot and Fired Up. Is that anything that anybody can speak on? Are those events?
Yeah, well, the Fired Up is it's a concert that they put on as kind of one of their signature events for the community, and Robyne might know more details in terms of how they're incorporating Route 66 into it this year, but it's an annual event that they have.
How about the spokes? Is that like a classic car thing, or is that okay?
In Grants?
Yeah. And that's a newer event. They had put it on last year, I think was the first one, and this will be their second one, but they're expanding it, growing it, and they got some money from New Mexico Tourism for to contribute and expand that event for Route 66 as well.
Mhm.
Taking a look at, as we mentioned, spokes on 66. That is on June 6th. Boy, that's a lot of sixes. In Grants. Grants is also doing a 4th of July parade and Wild West Rodeo. And if that isn't enough for you, you can head over to Gallup down the road and hit their Route 66 starts and stripes, not stars and stripes.
Sorry,
but
stars. That was a typo.
Oh,
Stars and
okay.
stripes.
I thought it was a car event. Okay. So it's Stars and Stripes celebration on July 4th, but they do have Route 66 rides
Mhm.
on July 25th. Summer Indian dances are happening June through August all year long. And then, of course, you have your farmers markets. My guess is that I'm going to be seeing quite a few pistachio side of the road stands and peaches and turquoise and a number of different things. I would imagine that the roadside vendors are going to be popping out as well as the farmers markets are. Have you heard anything from any of the farmers markets if they're bringing in special vendors or having dragon fruit or anything like that this year? I'm not
Most of
sure.
them are just highlighting what's local. And I think that's the key to everything is in New Mexico, you're going to see things that are from New Mexico. You're not going to, it's going to be different and unique and definitely New Mexican. So that's why it's worth a stop.
That is another thing that I really enjoy about Route 66 is that it is truly local. It is, I mean,
Mhm.
most of the places you're stopping are primarily still locally owned family businesses. Now, I'm not sure about the hotels and the motels. There's been such a chain takeover for a variety of reasons. Hotels are very expensive to upkeep, and especially if you're in a smaller community, it's very difficult to keep up something like that. So, first of all, are a lot of the hotels still local? Are they chain going through Route 66? And how about the restaurants and diners and stops? Are those still primarily small businesses?
Yeah, this definitely, especially the motels, like the old Route 66 motels are definitely, locally owned. Um, they're not, obviously you still have some of the bigger hotels, right, that are much newer, but they're not the iconic older
Mhm.
ones that are still, owned by folks that just have a deep love for the architecture and the history of those spaces and uh, as well as businesses that are still legacy, Route 66 businesses that have been around for generations.
It's
Mhm.
interesting how that can really connect with people. The Blue Swallow probably will
Hmm.
connect with people more than the Holiday Inn on Route 66. It just
Exactly.
doesn't have the same ring to it as supporting the local businesses. But how about sponsors? Have you guys have any major sponsors or local sponsors that you care to mention?
I think our main one for us is the New Mexico Tourism Department and New Mexico Magazine, which is it's a subset of the tourism department. But we've worked with them significantly and just really trying to focus on helping local folks get ready and be able to capitalize on I think all the folks coming through. But I think that's our main kind of partner sponsor. But I'm sure local communities have some of their own that they're
Sure.
working with their local businesses and institutions.
Well, that's the one thing is there's a lot to sponsor, and there are a lot of sponsors. So that's the one thing we like to make sure is that we give people the opportunity to give a shout out to the people who are basically funding it and trying to keep it going because it takes a village to drive down Route 66 these days, and that's okay. Does anybody
Yeah.
have any Route 66 stories that they care to share at all, whether it be a family story, a recent story, or a business story or anything along those lines?
I just say I guess my story would just be, going from Albuquerque to Santa Monica and then Albuquerque all the way through to Chicago uh, on a motorcycle trip. And um, it was a really, really great experience. And the fun thing is that we just didn't stay on Route 66 though, as we were going north and south in different spaces because there's so many cool things to see and do, I think, along the route, you know. So the fact that you're going to take you say like upwards of 90 days or so to take
Yeah.
the trip, I mean, there's a lot of things that you can
Mhm.
experience. So the route is the destination, but don't limit yourself to that, is what I'd say, because there's so many really, really cool things to see along the way, right?
Kind of stemming off that a little bit. It's interesting because I've got a Route 66 alert on my news aggregate so that I can see any press releases or interesting news stories that come in. It is unbelievable how many people are trying to piggyback off of Route 66. Like there's some story that has absolutely nothing to do with Route 66, but they'll mention it once in the story so that the keyword will get picked up and Google will pick it up. But
Hmm.
I have noticed an increase because I mean I've been in the media now for over 30, 40 years. And I have noticed that like there was one that really caught my attention was the 9 hot springs to visit an hour within Route 66. So they're like, "Hey, we just take an hour off the road and come visit us up here." And so here you're mentioning that, and that's the one that caught my attention. I mean, a hot spring. Oh, that'll get me all day long. And so I'll just drive there and probably do that. But it's interesting you brought that up, and I wasn't sure how much I'm going to veer off of Route 66. Obviously, I have to a certain degree,
Sure.
but it's interesting that you mentioned that because I think that's a very good thing for people to understand is that you don't just have to stay on the road. You can veer off it a little bit. In fact, I think we're doing one of our shows a few blocks from Route 66 at the Wheels Museum in
Yeah.
Albuquerque. All capital letters, Wheels. They're a block or two or three or something like that off Route 66, but they get a lot of the traffic and they have the space, to really bring in some people and showcase some things.
So
Uh, is there anything that we're missing out on that people should know about before they either take the New Mexico Route 66 or if they want to, drive like you did half one way and then half the other way, or they're doing like me, trying to take the whole on 2,400-mile journey?
yeah. Well, just recognize that you're gonna run into a lot of dirt roads, so be prepared if you're trying to take the old one, and stay
Did you say
faithful to it,
dirt
because
dirt roads?
there's some of them are dirt roads that or they cut off because they're like older iterations that they just weren't maintained because there wasn't enough traffic going through some of those. So yeah, there's some dirt roads as you go through, and not just in New Mexico and Texas. There's actually through my trip, we had to do a lot of back and forth, and wayfinding and staying paying attention to the map is super important. But I was going to give a shout out to New Mexico transportation department, because Department of Transportation, because they actually invested in a lot of new Route 66 signs to help folks stay on track, so that they know where the route's at. And it's one of the things that I know they invested a lot in this year. But yeah, it is interesting.
Was talking with several of the Route 66 Centennial Commission members, and they were talking about how this has been like a 5-year project leading up to this year. In fact, next week we have on the Oklahoma Department of Transportation Executive Director to talk about exactly those things that
Hmm.
you were just mentioning, because I think they're the longest route as far as the most miles is in Oklahoma, if my memory serves me off the top of my head. And so they've invested quite a bit as well. But signs and in Illinois, they were talking about there's still some cobblestone roads. And, here you mentioned dirt roads. I had no idea there was still dirt roads. When I was
There
taking a look
is.
at some of the maps, I did see that the frontage road is Route 66 next to the interstate. In a lot of places. Is that
Hmm.
the actual thing, or do people take the interstate, or did they take the frontage road?
No, the frontage road, if you're staying on the route, it'll take you through the frontage road, but then it veers off and goes into different areas and then comes back, where sometimes you'll hit some of those dirt roads where you can't travel them. So they'll just be blocked off, where it'll kind of move you back to Highway 40 for a little bit and then back off, right?
Are there
Or, yeah.
any Are there any places that people should maybe keep an eye on? I've been warned about Oatman, Arizona. I've been warned about the switchbacks in California near Needles.
Hmm.
In fact, I have a 25-foot camper, which is basically an apartment on wheels. You know, you've got the very nice
Hmm.
looking cabinets that are so hollow that if you close them, it wakes everybody up. It just
Hmm.
echoes through, you know. But it's got a
Yeah.
microwave and a fridge and all that propane stove. But when I was talking with Reese Martin with the Oklahoma Route 66 Commission, he was saying, "Yeah, you probably don't want to take that camper through California. There's a lot of switchbacks." Is there
Hmm.
anything like that in New Mexico that people should be heads up, or is it pretty smooth sailing?
I mean, for the most part, it's pretty smooth. The section from, I'd say, oh, where am I thinking of? Oh, Laguna Pueblo to Grants. There's some. It it's totally, it's doable, like even in a bigger trailer, but just slow down because there are some good curves around there where you need to slow down. But it's beautiful country, because you're going through a number of pueblos as you drive through there. Really, really nice section, but there are some really tight curves as you go through there. So just take your time.
Well, I sure am looking forward to it. We'll be documenting a lot of classic cars. We're trying to get our Route 66 bingo cards done here in time as well so that people can download those and play bingo along the way with some Route 66 iconic stops. We were trying to use AI and it ain't going to work, so I've got to dust off my old Photoshop and InDesign. I haven't used InDesign in years because I haven't published a magazine or a newspaper in probably about 10 years. So I got to brush that off as well, as we're kind of slowly doing some things. But just kind of circling back to the beginning with the passports and just some of the local stops and maybe some events. First off, how can people get the passport? It's an actual physical print. Is there a download? Is there an app? Is there somewhere that you can pick it up or mail it to? Oh, you've got yours. That looks nice. That looks
Oh,
very nice.
thanks.
Now, is
Yeah,
that
yeah.
do I send for that? Do I pick it up or how does that work?
You pick it up. So on our website, there's the list of the businesses in each district. So if you hit Tucumcari, you need to go hit one of those businesses in Tucumcari. You pick up your card and get your first sticker put on there. And then they're all listed there across that website. And there's three in each of the districts. So there's an opportunity. We try to cover as much time throughout the week as possible for these businesses to be open, for you to be able to access them. And there's also as Daniel's mentioned, our partnership with Mexico Magazine. We have a trail on their Route 66 Centennial app. So you can actually see a feature in each of the districts of where to go, and then a link that will take you to our website as well as the local website. So I'd say the key place to do is to get to that website, nmmainstreet.org/Route 66.
You know, I used to travel quite a bit. Like when I was in the publishing business, our clients were newspapers actually, and so we
Mhm.
would produce a home and garden magazine, building, buying, decorating, landscape, and remodeling. And so that was like non-traditional advertising for the newspaper industry. And we had 52 newspapers as clients. And one of the things that I really took away from that was the travel, you know, because I would travel 42 weeks a year and then 36 weeks a year. This was the hardest trip I've ever had to plan for because back in the old days, I would have a map that was like 2 foot by 2 foot. And so I'd put it out and that was my Sunday night was going through and mapping these things out. And since, apps came out and phones and smartphones, et cetera, I'm so used to just my iPhone app to
Mhm.
show me where to go. Well, then I pull up, the Google Maps system and you can't even find Route 66 in Illinois. It's not even listed on the maps. It's all interstates. Seriously, this was the hardest planning I've ever done in my life for these types of things. So I was happy. New Mexico is the easiest out of all the states, by the way, just so you guys know. I'm easier than Arizona, which was the second
All right.
easiest. Well, Texas should have been the easiest. It's just a straight line. Kansas was more difficult. Kansas was only got 13 miles.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's a pretty it's a pretty small area, but
Yeah.
it's beautiful.
Do you guys do you know of any apps that that might be, I don't know if it's a New Mexico app or if it's a national app or anything like that. Is there anywhere online that people can go and find the route, I guess, easily? Because it was a challenge for me, but I wasn't asking anybody. I was trying to just do it myself, and kind of like a blind pig finding an acorn.
There is a Route 66 app. I know actually we use it. I'm looking on my phone if I still have it, but
there it is.
There you go. There is a Route 66 app that you can use for directions and just follow it. It'll keep you on the route.
Outstanding. Well, I appreciate all the time today and the information. Is there anything that we have not covered or mentioned that we want to make sure that we get out to the masses as they get ready to plan their trip, whether it be 13 miles through Kansas or 2,400 miles across the whole pier to pier? That's another thing. They switched the Chicago pier, right, to from the Art Institute and Lou Mitchell's over to the Navy Pier. So there's a new starting place now for Route 66. Yeah. 2 weeks ago.
Right?
They City Commission meeting changed it, and all of a sudden, I think next week they're going to announce it in conjunction with the 28th annual Wrigley Field Toast Off or something. So, so a little bit of change there. But anything that we've missed out on, or we want to reiterate?
Well, I would say Jesse put a couple of links in the chat, especially around your question on the old route up to Santa Fe and Las Vegas. So please share that because it might give folks some more background about why it was changed and what kind of cool things you can see up there. But I think that's about it.
Okay, I'm just getting these links right now as I do a little multitasking here. But all right, so Daniel, you're in Albuquerque, and Robyne, you're in Clovis. Jesse, you're in Santa Fe, correct? And well, I guess that's all we got today, and so I'm gonna close it off here unless anybody has any final words.
Thanks, and enjoy your trip.
All right. I'm not in charge here. How do I push stop again on this? Hang on here.
I'll stop.